Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing a Lexus IS 500. The resale value on these IS 500s is absolutely ridiculous. Before we get into this review, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to RC Automotive here in Salt Lake City, Utah for giving me some time with this IS 500. I'm going to include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out their current inventory, including this IS 500. They have a lot of really cool pre-owned inventory, and they also have these little golf cart type vehicles called Mokes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. I don't know if it's Moke or Moke or whatever. Anyways, check out their inventory and check out those little golf cart things. They're really cool looking. They look like mini Jeeps. Some of you might know about it, some of you might not. But regardless, let's get into the review. Under the hood, we have a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It puts out 472 horsepower and then 395 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting off with the color, I think a lot of you will have questions on this. First off, in real life, it's not nearly as whitewashed as on the camera. The blue is so bright that the camera filter just kind of goes white a little bit on it, but it is a wrap. It's not a factory color. The car is white underneath. I'll show that to you guys a little bit later. But anyways, love the headlight design on the IS 500. Everything's all blacked out here on the front end, so the contrast with the blue and the black looks great. Now, when it comes to the tire and wheel setup, it is two 45, 35, 20 in the front, and then two 65, 35, 20 in the rear, so slightly staggered setup. And these are aftermarket wheels. You guys can see Vossens. If I remember right, those are pretty expensive wheels, generally speaking, from that company. I love the blacked out brake caliper with the Lexus logo on it. F-Sport badge here on the side. And I will say this looks really good. These wheels have kind of like a neutral offset, and so the car has like a much better stance compared to stock, just with how the wheels kind of have a little bit of a poke. Now, take a look at the taillights. Really cool with the light bar effect. You can see the blacked out spoiler. Of course, you got a little Vossen sticker. Got to flex, you got Vossen wheels, right? Now, this does also have an aftermarket exhaust. This is the best sounding IS/LC I have ever heard. You guys will hear it in the exhaust clip, but yeah, really cool looking car on the outside. Even though this isn't a stock color, I dig the blue. Now, the IS 500 is kind of like an M3 competitor, and so it is a 4-door, and this is where you guys can see the original white paint with the car. But we've got this nice back seat area. Nice trim all down the center. Again, this isn't a massive car, so it's going to be a little bit tighter there in the back. And then popping up front, it's the same thing with the material use, and I like the material use in here. It holds up really well over time. That's one thing that Lexus does a really good job with their interiors. Cool seats. Again, they hold you in place, but they're also very comfortable. And getting in's easy. You just kind of pop down in, starting it up. Listen to that. I think you guys will really like the exhaust clip we'll do here a little bit later. The animation for the gauge cluster always takes quite some time with the Lexus cars. Anyways, you guys can see this one has just over 22,000 miles on the odometer. And then I've always liked this, the trim here at the top. I think it's nice. And the steering wheel's got nice trim here on the sides, paddle shifters as well for that 8-speed automatic. And then we've got a 360 camera system. You got Lexus's previous infotainment system unit, which I don't think is a problem. It's quick to respond, it's pretty easy to use. And then you can see here, we've got the analog controls for the climate. And this does come with heated and ventilated seats for those of you that are wondering. Got our whole drive mode select here. And then this is also for the infotainment system, so if you don't want to use the touchscreen, but let's be real, the touchscreen is way better than Lexus's keypad. Good storage overall. And then I like this here, because again, this holds up really well over time. I mean, this interior basically looks brand new. And then we've got a sunroof up top. Now, this car brand new would have been about $66,000. Now, this is a 23 model year car, and as a pre-owned car, it's selling for in the mid-50s, over $56,000. So this has only lost about 10 grand in resale value, which I know 10 grand is a lot of money, but you look at a lot of other cars in today's market, and most cars are losing far more when it comes to percentage in value, especially after this amount of miles. So it's just crazy how well the IS 500 is holding its value, but let's drive it. IS 500. This is a really cool car, and I'm not shocked that the resale value is really good, because again, you know, Lexus typically doesn't have as good of resale value as Toyota, because, you know, people understand that Lexuses are just fancy Toyotas, and so, you know, what you'll usually see is a Lexus will usually depreciate and sell for similar amounts of money to its Toyota sibling. A good example is with the Land Cruiser and with the LX 570 with the last generation. You know, the LX 570 was 100,000 brand new, the Land Cruiser was 80, and then you look at the used ones and they're both selling for about the same amount of money. So the, you know, Lexus depreciated more in terms of percentage and dollar amount than the Land Cruiser. Now, what I will say right off the bat is the suspension on the IS 500 is really smooth. And that's one of the things that's nice about the car. Like the damping when you go over little bumps and everything, it's solid. But more than that, it just kind of like glides down the road. I'm actually gonna pop into the Sport Plus mode here. So we don't really have anyone behind us. Usually a busy road, but pretty good. Paddles are not super responsive. That sounds great. That sounds great. Yeah, you gotta love V8s. Just beautiful. I could have gone down that road. I'm trying to find a way to go back through, but don't want to go down the wrong road. There's another one that I could have probably gone down. We'll just turn on the light. But it sounds really good. Yeah, I will say again, this isn't as responsive as the LC 500. The LC has a 10-speed ISIN transmission, if I remember right. And not supposed to be crossing, but you're crossing. Well, anyways, yeah, that transmission takes a second to warm up, but once it does warm up, it's quite a bit quicker with the shifts. It's always confused me as to why they didn't put that transmission in these. I wonder if it comes down to, like, they wanted to be more luxury at the drive. It sounds so good. Like, if you guys remember my reviews of the stock IS 500s, like, they don't sound that good. It's a V8, and it's not bad, but it's so muffled in the stock car. This exhaust really does open up the V8, and that's one of the cool things about V8s, is even if they sound crappy from the factory, like, an exhaust is a pretty inexpensive modification, and it changes the character of a car completely. I mean, I have a Wrangler, you know, with the V8, and it's kind of like a similar situation where it doesn't sound bad from the factory. It sounds actually pretty good, but the exhaust I have on that from AWE, just boom, you know, it sounds like a super aggressive, angry muscle car now. It's really cool stuff. So yeah, with the IS 500, turn to the side here. With the IS 500, it, especially in this blue, again, even though it's a wrap, it's, you know, still a cool thing to see. In this blue, with the wheels and the exhaust and everything like this, I think this is like a great setup on this car. Because this is, again, if you didn't have this on your car already, this is a pretty affordable, it's not like dirt cheap to do, but it's pretty affordable setup to do on a car. I mean, basically, wraps are more expensive nowadays, sadly. But you're probably like, what, $2 grand for an exhaust, and then wheels. You're probably another, you know, couple, I don't know how much Vossen wheels are. I think they're a little more expensive. Maybe you're like $3-4 grand on wheels. And then finally on tires and everything. Do I turn here? Do I keep going? I should have turned there, I think. I don't know. I'm lost. Anyways, let's turn up here. Yeah, it'd be like an extra, probably like 10 grand to turn this car into this. But this is already done, so you wouldn't have to spend the money. That's the beauty of pre-owned cars, by the way, is that you don't have to, you get the cool stuff and you don't have to spend the money. So either way, let me know what you guys think about this IS 500, how this is set up. But, you know, if I were to buy one of these, this is the setup that I think would be really cool. Just, again, a little bit more aggressive offset with those wheels. Yeah, this is where I'm supposed to turn, so we're good. A little bit more aggressive offset with those wheels and the exhaust, and then, you know, doing a cool color. Lexus doesn't really have exciting, I mean, there was some cool colors on the IS 500 when they did the run, but they don't have a ton of exciting colors, and most of them that are sold in white like this, or black or gray. right? That's just kind of what you see, especially here in Utah. Every car is white or black here in Utah. So, I don't know, I think it spruces things up a little bit. And the sound! So cool. So cool. There's no other, like, I do want to make one more point. I was about to end the video, but I do want to make one more point. There is not a single other performance sedan on the market with a V8 that's reliable. That's the other thing that I think is really appealing with the IS 500 is it's got a reliable powertrain. So I think that adds to the excitement.